Hola, it's Matthew here. We're here today with Kira from GC Partners with some hints and tips for anybody who may be moving to Spain and needs to make a large currency exchange transaction. So, welcome, Kira.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. I know you've come a little way today to join us.
No problem.
So really appreciate it. People, when they're buying a property abroad, often need a currency exchange provider, and there are a myriad of options out there for them. You've only got to go on any Facebook group anywhere, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of comments on this video as well about the right things to do. So I thought for our customers it would be a really good idea to actually get some proper professional advice on the pros and cons of the various things out there.
Sure.
So, I mean, I guess first of all, why should a home buyer use a currency exchange provider rather than just use their bank or one of the sort of online fintech apps for currency exchange?
Yeah, I think one of the main things for us, we have an office locally, so we cover quite a wide range across Spain as well. So we know the process of buying and selling property over here. We work as well with solicitors and we know the paperwork that's required and things like that. When clients are moving a very large amount of money, it's always good to have someone direct that they can speak to. So they know that they can pick up the phone to us. We're there to answer any questions about the paperwork, the exchange rates, the market movements. Obviously, we can't tell clients when to book their currency, but we can certainly advise on when a good time is, or perhaps it might be a good idea to hold off for a little bit if they have that timeline available to them before their completion. So it's a very much tailored experience for our clients. And obviously, the customer service with us as well is something that most of the clients like.
That's definitely the feedback we've had from clients, is the service and the personal contact with someone is big.
I think that the idea of, especially not being in the country, so if you're in a position where you're based, for example, in the UK, and you're buying a property over in Spain and it's your first time, it's nice to be able to pick up the phone and have someone at the end of the line that speaks English and knows what they're doing and can kind of just be almost like a shoulder there as well to answer any questions for them. So that's a comfort.
What would you say are the main pitfalls that home buyers could experience with currency exchange when buying a property in Spain?
Market movement, I guess, will be a big one. It moves so quickly, and there's so many factors that comes into why the market would move. So we could be talking on the day that they've decided to reserve their property. We're giving them live rates, live amounts of how much the property would cost, but their completion isn't for another 3 to 6 months. A lot can happen in that time.
Absolutely. I've certainly seen, I had an experience with a client, and the exchange rate moved by nearly 5% over the course of a couple of weeks, and they were buying at 250,000. That was like, it cost them 12,500 more euros than they were expecting.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen it some days. In the lead up to something, to like a big announcement, certainly when the Bank of England are meeting, when they have their meetings, we would see the markets move in days prior to that, so almost like in the lead up to what's expected to be announced. There's been times where we've seen the rate move within a cent within a couple of hours even. So even on one given day. So that can definitely impact clients.
Yes, that can make a big impact.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting, because I know it is possible to mitigate that. So kind of what's the difference for our viewers at home between a spot rate and a forward contract?
Sure. That's where the forward contracts, if you're in a position to do so, and I'll explain why, obviously. Forward contracts are, in my opinion, are a very good option. Again, if you were, for instance, purchasing a property today, you didn't have all the funds available, but the rate was very much in your favour. You can lock in a rate with us for basically you pay 10% of the full amount that you're purchasing. And and that locks the rate in. So regardless of what happens within the markets between that date and your completion, you know exactly how much you're spending on your property, which has so many benefits.
Well, yeah, the security that offers for clients.
Exactly.
Amazing, yeah.
You're not worried about your budget. I mean, everyone has a budget when they're purchasing. So it kind of it's peace of mind for clients. Spot rates. If you have all your funds available, well, you can buy there and then. With us, you can keep your currency on account. So if you purchase and don't have a Spanish bank account set up yet, but you want to take advantage of the rate on that given day, you can hold your funds on account for up to 3 months.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, that's really good.
So again, you don't need to... a lot of clients will say, oh, but I don't have an account to put it into, or the solicitor may not be in a position to accept those funds in because they're dealing with other completions and things like that. But yeah, you can take advantage at that time if your funds are available.
And for example, with the forward contracts, if a client was to see a house today, they've agreed a price, could they then, if the rate was good today, say, okay, I want to get that rate today, even if they have the full amount, could they set that to keep that rate for a period of time?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So they can still only, in order to book a forward, all we need is 10%. Okay. So they can do that. They can hold on to the balance if they need it for whatever reason in the UK in this instance. Yeah. And then we'll set a maturity date for that. And that's the date that we need the balance by, which is usually a couple of days before the completion.
Sure.
So we can.
Okay. So they can have the security that, you know, the amount of euros they've seen it in today is the amount of euros they're getting it for. Yes. There's not going to be any fluctuation with that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we book the rate that we book they're your funds. It's not we purchase specifically for that client. Yes. It's not taken out of a pot or anything. It's
So how do currency fluctuations kind of affect the final costs that a buyer might have at the end of their purchase if the rates change quite dramatically?
For instance, if you were moving, say the property cost 200,000 in euros, should the rate move between the day that you've put your reservation fee down, it could be the difference of a couple of thousand. A good couple of thousand.
It adds up quite quickly, doesn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there's options as well. For instance, if you do have the funds available, but you have a specific rate in mind that's within your budget, so you need to purchase your funds at that rate or better. You can put in like a rate alert. Okay. Basically, so it pings up on your account manager's screen when it hits. We give you a call, and then you decide if you want to take the risk and wait if it's continuing, if it's going well for you, and you want to take the risk to see if it gets better for you. Then that's another option for you.
Okay, so kind of at the mercy of gambling on international currency rates with a house purchase.
A little bit like that, yeah.
Yeah, you need the nerve for that, I'd imagine.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
I guess one of the most important things for people when they're dealing with large amounts of money in international currency transfers comes down to the security of their money. Like what are the differences between the security you can offer a client and maybe banks and the fintech apps that are out there? Is there any difference?
GC partners we're regulated by the FCA, so everything is very much above board, and you can read it on the website. The FCA number and everything is there. It's hugely important, especially when you're moving such a large amount. It's people's life savings.
They're rightly nervous about it, and should be, yeah.
Exactly. When it comes down to paperwork, proof of transactions, all that kind of thing, we can help with that as well. So we can provide all that, but. Yeah, most certainly the regulations are something to keep an eye out for. Do your research when you're looking into moving the large amounts.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting. We've had experiences where someone has been recommended a currency provider, and I'm trying to avoid mentioning names, but where subsequently the funds have come through and they've actually then clearly been fed through a secondary currency provider. And it's like, that's not the name of the company that we're transferring the money. So you don't know where the money has gone.
Exactly.
And I think also, I know we've certainly had a big case where someone's funds got caught up with the money laundering, the triggers for the money laundering processes, and with one of the fintech firms, which wasn't a wise choice for them to use. They couldn't get hold of anyone, and it took a week for that money to come through, and they lost their deposit because there was no one to talk to. So I guess that's quite a big thing for people, is that they've got a point of contact.
Definitely. So when you register with GC Partners, you have an account manager. So that's your point of contact. We know what to expect. So we know that over X amount, or sometimes it's just pulled like a random check, and compliance want to know where the funds have come from, and the usual documentation that will come up in that money laundering. So we anticipate for that to happen. So we'll either advise the client that at some point we may ask for those documents. We may ask for them when they register. And that all comes from the initial conversation that we have with clients. So for us, it's really important to get to know our clients as early on as we can, build that confidence, let them know that if anything should come up, that we will advise them in time. So something like that wouldn't happen. You're not down to the line. We have it all sorted before.
And also one thing that again we've had some issues with let's just say sort of slightly less well organised providers, is that the deal ticket. This is the bane of my life when it comes to dealing with a lot of currency exchange companies, that the information and the proofs that the notary requires, not every notary, some require different ones to others. But when I mention the deal ticket, when they get the "what's that?" it's like, oh no. But you do know what a deal ticket is. Probably our people at home don't know what a deal ticket is. So can you give us a quick overview on that?
Sure. So when you book currency with us, the minute we hit the green button, so to speak, so when we purchase the euros for you, or any currency, you receive an email immediately. So before we're even off the phone, you've got an email confirming the transaction that's just happened. Within that's the deal ticket. And everything, all the information's on that. So the normal details, name, your account number with us, the rate that you've booked the currency, the figures, so the sterling amount and the euro amount. So if you have to then forward that on to the notary or a solicitor, they can see that the conversion rate. So when the paper trail comes, they'll see the sterling coming in, us doing the conversion, and then us sending the euros out again then. So it's very clear what's happened. The bank details of where the client then needs to send the funds to. So we bank with a bank in the UK. So they're sending sterling to sterling, which is no fees. And then obviously if we have beneficiary details at that point, we'll have those in there as well. If not, and if the funds are just being held on account until a later date, then we'll fill that in later on.
But I think that's so important that for people at home who don't know, the deal ticket is really the kind of the paper trail of where the funds have come from, so that when we're presenting to the notary, we're not getting the sudden, oh, I'm not sure where that's come from, I need a proof. And that's on the day that the contract's expiring. So if you can't provide it that day, people could potentially lose their deposit. That's very scary.
We've had many a time where at completion we get a call from the notary saying we need the paper trail. We need to see how has this client got euros if they live in the UK, and that's exactly what we can provide. And the deal ticket is like the main part of that, because it shows how that's come into to euros.
It's becoming more and more important, that, and it's surprising how many providers don't supply it or supply a very limited version of it. So that's a really big bonus. And in terms of the costs of doing this, what are the typical sort of fees and costs involved in currency transfers?
Minimal. Yeah. Which is, I'm sure, music to a lot of people's ears.
It is. I do think there is quite often this sort of misconception that you're going to get a terrible rate, and there's going to be big commissions come out of it. Which I would say for some providers that is the case, but I mean, our experience from our clients has been really positive.
Yeah.
So in terms of, there are no costs to use you up front, or
because you're sending sterling from your sterling account into our sterling account, so it's like sending money to a family member. It's a single currency transaction. We then do the transaction when the client's happy with the exchange rate and the figures and everything like that. And then we send the euros out from a euro account into a euro account. So again, it's another single currency payment. The banks in Spain are notorious for fees.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. And they'll charge you for everything. So we eliminate that. So it's another charge that's eliminated. So between the exchange rate, eliminating the charges from the receiving bank, ultimately the client is spending less sterling. Yeah,
that's good.
Which is,
good for the client. That's the aim. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, we have the same because we have a client account. So any transactions, the money tends to come to our client account. We then have a deal with the bank because of the business we do. That we don't have any charges for the transfers if they're in single transfers, and so we can avoid the bank charges for clients that way as well. So that works really well.
And they can be. I mean, we've had some horror stories of clients that we have the initial chat with, and going back to what you said about the kind of first-time buyers, they're a little bit nervous about introducing another company into the mix. I think it's just like an idea in people's heads that currency companies are going to, they're going to add on all these extra charges and that. They've gone off, used a bank or another competitor, and they come back into our office. We've had them physically come in with a statement showing that they've been charged up to 1% to receive the funds in. And then on the next transaction, they come to us and they say, "Oh, why did I not come to you in the first place?" And well, you can only give as much advice as
absolutely. Well, that's why we make videos like this, to give people the advice up front. But the other thing I've seen as well with some currency exchange companies is and banks as well, is they tell the client, "Don't worry, we don't charge you anything for the transfer," but then when the money lands in our client account, it's short, and that's because they've put all the fees onto the receiver rather than onto the sender, which obviously the seller of the property is not paying for the for that. So that's not something that you do either.
No, it's very transparent with us. We're very, very clear about the exact amount that you're going to end up with. Whether it be buying euros or if you're, for instance, selling a property, and we tell you exactly how much you're going to end up with in sterling. And that's what you end up with in your bank. There's no hidden. We don't like secrets.
That's good. That's good. That's why we work with you guys, just because the transparency for our clients is vital for us. So we've been talking quite a lot about kind of euros and sterling, but you deal with more than that. You deal with lots of different currencies, don't you?
Yeah, I think we're up to over 50 currencies.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know from experience that with a lot of our American buyers that there can be particular issues depending on which state someone's in terms of transferring dollars out into euros. And that's something you guys are used to dealing with.
Exactly. Yeah, we actually there's more and more American clients that we're dealing with, and that's across the offices. So we're not just in Spain. We've our head office over in London. We've offices in Portugal, Dubai, all over.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we do have a high amount of clients from America that are coming over.
Wonderful. And how does the process of actually making a currency exchange kind of work? I mean, we've kind of touched on it already, but just to give our viewers a quick breakdown of what is the process?
Yeah. I guess the initial contact with us is a phone call. We need to know what exactly that you're needing to do, your timeline. The more information that we have, the more we can help and kind of tailor the experience for the individual client. Your account manager will keep in touch with you with market movements. If you're looking for a specific rate, obviously we'll explain the forward contracts, the spot deals and the rate alerts, all options that are available. Yeah. Perhaps some options aren't available because of different circumstances, or maybe your funds aren't available immediately, things like that we spoke about earlier on. When you're ready to, so when you're happy with where the markets are, the funds are purchased over the phone. So it can be done or in office or over the phone. And you have 2 working days to make some form of payment over to us. So it gives you a little bit of breathing space. It's, I don't know, if you're booking your currency and you're out dropping the kids off at school or something, you can't...
I guess you can't tell when the rates are going to go.
So you have plenty of time to make the initial transfer over to us. I suppose a good thing to mention is the daily transfer limits in the UK. So you might find that your bank, if you're doing the transfer on your online banking, you may find that you have a limit of, I think it depends on your bank. It depends on what...
Usually around 20, 25,000,
Exactly, yeah. I think some premium bank or account holders might have a larger one. But generally, if you give the bank a call, they can increase it if you explain what you're doing. But for us, it's no problem. If it takes you a week to send it over, your rate's still booked in, your currency is still held, and you just kind of feed in the sterling as you can.
Okay, that's good, thank you. In terms of, we've talked about doing the right thing for the clients. I mean, what kind of customer support is there available from GC rather than necessarily just one of the kind of the app transfer people?
Yeah, we're always at the end of the phone. I think we pride ourselves in customer service, so like that we could end up knowing about your dog and all those kind of things. But I think it gives comfort to the client as well. Any questions that you have, if you're not sure about timelines of things, because we work with the solicitors in the area as well, that we can perhaps give them a call. It may even be a case where we might see the solicitor, they're coming into the office, and we can say, don't worry about that, we'll help as much as we can. Yeah. We're always at the end of email as well. So yeah, we're very much on hand and keep in touch with our clients as well.
That's good. That's good. We have a very positive feedback on that, so I can attest to that. And kind of, what are the regulatory requirements and policies that are in place to protect clients?
Yeah. With GC partners, your funds, anytime that we have funds come in from a client, they're held in segregated client accounts. So God forbid, if anything did happen, your funds down to the last penny would be returned to you, which is another sense of comfort as well, I think, knowing that if they go over to this company, that maybe it's only a phone call that we've had, so you've never met us. And again, you're going back to moving huge amounts of money. So you need to know that, these little kind of aspects, that if anything did happen, that your funds would be returned. Yeah,
I think that's something people often miss, is the having that protection. While things are highly unlikely to go wrong, it does happen from time to time. So knowing that money's protected.
Yeah. Again,
it's most people's life savings, It's
definitely. I think I'd be worried about even moving 100 to someone that I've only spoken to over the phone. So yeah, it's.
So do you have any sort of real life examples of clients who've saved money, or we can skirt around it, but let's be honest, there'll be 100 comments, I'm sure, on this post as well that says, oh, use this company, use that company, use that company. And in reality, I think the perception is, by using one of the fintech companies, that you're going to get a better deal, that you'll get you'll be better off.
Yeah.
But I know from the the deals that we've done that actually that isn't the case.
Yeah.
So have you got any examples where that's happened, where you've had a client that's come with a quote from X, Y, or Z online company, but actually it's better with you?
Yeah. The fintech companies can be a little bit opaque.
It's a very delicate way of putting it.
I have to be careful.
I appreciate that, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you could look online, see a rate. Client gives us a call and says, well, no, I can get this rate. But that's not what they're receiving. You need to look at the end result, because what you're seeing is what they're saying they're offering you, but it's not at the end. And we have had clients where they're kind of back and forth with ourselves and perhaps someone else. And when it comes down to it, they realise that the actual monetary figure of what they're getting, and that's the most important. I mean, anyone can give you a rate, but
it's
you
what
need
you
to
end
know
up
what
with
you're
at the
ending
end,
up with.
isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, the headline rate it's like many things in the finance world, isn't it? The headline rate, when you look at the final costs at the bottom, the bottom line is often significantly different.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Great. Kira, that's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time and for the advice that you've given to our clients. So for anyone watching, please don't forget to like and subscribe below. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to add them in the comments, send us a message, and if we haven't covered them in this video, we will reach out and we will get the answer from a professional. So Kira, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
You at home, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.